Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. I am Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart. I am subbing in for our hero, our editor-in-chief, Adam Zadroik, so he has a little bit of a break while he's heroically editing all our articles and putting out good betting content for you all. The person who does not get a break, of course, is our Ryan Belongia. Ryan, how are you doing on this slate so far? Definitely no surprises, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing great. I'm not doing bad though. I think cash is going to be okay. I got fortunate in cash. Tournament's probably over. Too much Ericsson. I mentioned you before the show. I think he finished with like 7 or 8 points. I mean, just pretty pathetic performance from Denmark. I
Yeah.
don't know how I don't know how Ericsson's floor is that low when they're losing 1-0. Yeah, France put out a weird lineup. I got lucky to I don't know about lucky, but I faded Coleman, so that was nice. But cash is going okay. Yeah, yesterday was great. Really good performance from the U.S. That game against the Netherlands is going to be awesome. DFS went well. Got on to Foden and the two defenders that we talked about both crushed. So I had a really good day yesterday. Actually, really good day. Today, yeah, it's okay, but tomorrow this slate tomorrow is actually an important one because they got that huge 555 tournament that everybody's been winning tickets for.
No,
I
except
think
for you,
Jordan,
right?
except for me, I didn't even play any of the contests. I mean, I play all these King of the Pitch satellites. It's just like I don't know. I don't really have an explanation for it. I got to start grinding satellites, I guess. Anyways, monster tournament tomorrow, 100K
Yeah,
to first.
yeah, that 555 is going to be big, and hopefully that means other big contests as well. So hopefully the lower entry GPP is pretty large to coincide with that, and then hopefully a lot of people are playing. So that should be pretty exciting. If you sort of just look at this slate right here, because I don't want to talk about this one. I played Guendouzi and I played Coman. But if we
Yeah,
look
I
at
did too. Don't feel too bad. I mean, if yeah, I mean, I'm slightly embarrassed to say I thought Gunduzi was a decent play today, so I played him as well.
well,
It didn't go well.
I commented earlier, he got a lot of good wind sprints in, so I'm happy that he got his
Man, I
cardio
mean,
in
I
for
think
the
in the
day.
first half he had 9 accurate passes, and that's it. No other
It was
stats, if
it
I
was
remember.
absurd. It was like it was a
Yeah,
half hour into the game, and he was like at 0.08. So, like I said,
it's
it's a good workout.
one of those situations where, and everybody knew it too. Everybody knew it, but you still do it. You should look at that France lineup and be like, well, this probably isn't going to go that well for them, especially in basically an away matchup against Tunisia. I mean, you could see that coming today. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, so let's get to this slate then. So, I mean, the thing that sticks out, everyone knows the storyline here. So Germany lost to Japan early, so they absolutely must win against one of the weakest teams in the tournament, Costa Rica, who do have a win to their credit. So Germany are massive favorites. So I think this is going to be the highest implied goal total that we'll see in this whole World Cup, saying at a 2.71 implied goal total. I mean, that's almost a goal higher than Spain, and they're also favored against Japan. So in the other group, I think there's still some stuff at stake. The Canadians have been eliminated, but I think any of three of the Croatia, Belgium, or Morocco sides can still advance. But those are not good games for DFS. And I've told you a little bit before the show. I mean, you're going to have to convince me not to play 6 German players in cash games. And honestly, Germany players are the best price adjusted players, I think, on this slate, given the context. DraftKings is basically daring us not to play them. I don't know. Do you have a different thought than that as an initial impression?
Um, Not really. I mean, I guess we could just end the podcast now. Uh,
I mean,
I
for
think
real, right?
yeah, I mean, you said it, probably the best spot of the tournament. Pretty good prices on these German guys. Yeah, I think the optimal strategy is to play as much Germany as you can. Um, these other games, I mean, Spain has a 2 total. So, it's a pretty good spot for Spain to they're going to be they need to win. Obviously, they don't need to, but they'll be trying to win. Danny Olmo 9,400 up top. I don't know. I think he'd be the only Spain player you're really considering in cash. What do you think? I mean, I'm jumping around here. These other matchups, I guess. These other matchups, yeah, Belgium, Croatia. Um, it's like a pick'em game. Both teams have 1.3 totals.
Yeah.
We'll get into midfield. But midfield's kind of loaded. I mean, we're not going to play De Bruyne for that price in cash.
Well, not
We're
again.
not going to play, right? We're not going to play Luka Modric. You're not going to waste money in that spot on either of those guys. Then you have this Morocco Canada match. It's probably a pretty decent spot for Morocco. So maybe there's a construction where like Ziyech is the last piece. Like probably
Maybe.
not though. I mean, you probably don't want to take 7,900 away from money that can be spent on Germany.
Yeah, that's my exact same impression as well. I mean, because Morocco have to win, and I don't know about Canada's motivation. Maybe they'll play for pride, try to score some goals or something like that. That matchup has some hope, but the Moroccans are not favorably priced. I mean, Ziyech is priced at the same price as Kimmich, and if Germany have to push, I mean, why don't you just play Kimmich? That's sort of a 1v1 decision that happens at a lot of spots in the slate. You find a player that you like, and there's going to be a German player or a Spain player who's nearby that you have to like more given the
Right.
matchup. I mean, how about for cash games? You said Danny Olmo. I mean, why not Serge Gnabry?
Yeah,
Almost the same price, just a $100 savings.
yeah, I think I'm probably with you on that. Um, I think other people, I don't know. I don't know if everyone would feel that way though. I don't know.
Why not?
It feels like people would play. I don't know. It feels like people would want. I mean, look how good Almo's been. That's kind of why he's played 90 minutes twice and taken set pieces twice. So I think people would still play Almo, which is probably fine. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd kind
I
of
mean,
like Gnabry there.
he's a good player. He's had a good floor in these matches. He's been taking shots on goal, so he does have the goal upside there. I mean,
I mean, yeah,
do you think there's
no,
any
go ahead.
chance that Spain roll out with a different lineup at all? Maybe Olmo doesn't start. He's played 90 minutes, two straight matches.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Um, I think he probably starts. I mean, for the most part, they dominated. Not dominated, but they were in control of that Germany match. Sort of a fortunate goal for Germany at the end. They
Hmm.
looked. I don't know. Spain. They've looked pretty good. Almost looked good. Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance, but it seems like he will start.
Yeah. I mean, what else are we looking at? So I guess you're going to play one of Gnabry and or Olmo in cash. I mean, do you play both or do you look to? I don't think you want to play both because I see Leroy Sané at 8,400 and we're projecting him to start right there. What do you think? Would you think that you want to play both Olmo and Gnabry, or do you want to prioritize getting Sané
No,
in there
yeah, I
instead?
think. I think just because of I think Price, Sane, Sane's probably the first forward in. I think.
I
Um,
think so
I know
too. I
there's
mean, there's not much value on this slate overall. We'll get to that,
no,
but
there's not much value at all. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about. Sane, there's some risk there because he's been injured and he's only played 20 minutes, but I'm comfortable enough at that price tag where, yeah, I'd be playing Sane for sure.
yeah, I mean, he's going to be part of the fulcrum of that attack right up there, and he is just I don't know. I think he's essential. I think you need to have him in your cash game lineups because I think you need that $1,100
I
over
agree.
Olmo and
There's no value.
Gnabry. There's absolutely none. Um, I mean, we just gave three forwards there. Are there any other forwards that you could possibly consider in cash games on this slate? I was scrolling through and I can't find anything. Maybe you saw something though. Anyone else look appealing?
Nope. I didn't find any actually. Yeah, not even one. So it seems like a lock that you spend up at both forward spots. Like, just why wouldn't you? You have Sane and then Gnabry or Almo. That's all you need.
Yeah, I was trying to find any cash game value possible. And when I scrolled all the way down at forward, so I think there's a Japan forward who might start, Yuki Soma, and at 3,700, I mean, it would be kind of like you would play him at forward, but but he would be he might fit in as a utility player as well. And
Right.
that's like probably the only reasonable option, unless you want to go back to our boy En-Nesyri, who I think got a price bump after his .08 performance in his most recent game.
Yeah, no, I don't. Not for 5,500. No, I just play a min price Japan guy if I was going to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's really not much, and we can talk about some tournament options later, but let's kind of just keep going through this cash construction right here. So if you go to midfield, I mean, the names that stick out, we have Kevin De Bruyne at 8,800, who took none of Belgium's corners, which was infuriating. It's impossible to trust him in this spot. Belgium looked terrible. There's been all these reports of infighting at camp, and then people are saying, oh, these are just rumors. That just seems like a situation to avoid. There's just not a team that's playing well. I mean, is one of the first names in midfield Joshua Kimmich, even if he plays in a defensive role?
Yeah, I think you just have to play Kimmich. Even if he plays in a defensive role, like he's gonna have goal and assist upside in a matchup this good. He'll get forward a few times. He'll be plenty involved. So yeah, 7,700. I think you play Kimmich. The other one that you might play from a different game, I guess just scrolling down already, Torgan Hazard who took all the corners last time, 12 floor points in 75 minutes. It's not bad for 4,600. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. What do you think?
I have him. I have to write the article, so I have him highlighted as one of the few viable options. Because if you just scroll all the way down, there's no one in the 3,000 range that feels playable at midfielder to me. Feel free to chime in and disagree if you want. I think like the cheapest person I would consider is Kovacic. And then you have, Pedri, he's at 4,300. We thought maybe he takes a set piece or two, but he really doesn't have much. I mean, he's a great player, but he's not a great fantasy player. And then you just notice that Thorgan Hazard and Eden Hazard there. You could play Eden Hazard for 4,500 and just hope he draws 10 fouls in this match and gets you enough floor. That's probably the only two spend down options.
Yeah, I think you kind of just got to play Thorgan. Yeah, because there's no other value. If he was like 5,500, you could maybe have a conversation about it. But I think it's just too cheap on this slate.
So are you certainly looking at Thorgan ahead of Eden?
For cash, yeah. For cash. Yeah.
Even for cash, yeah.
He has a higher floor. He has a higher floor for sure. It's not like a great spot against Croatia, and his minutes, he plays basically 60 minutes, So yeah, Thorgan would be the cash play.
Wasn't Thorgan subbed off as well though?
Yeah.
In the previous match?
75 minutes he played. But I just couldn't choose. He's got a higher floor.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and complaining about players getting subbed off, I guess the question is, okay, sure, he gets subbed off at 75 minutes. Who do you think is the better play? And I simply just don't see it in the low price midfielder range.
Right. Yeah, I don't see it either. You mentioned Kovacic. I don't want to play Brozovic for 3,400.
No, and I mean, Kovacic has a decent game log, I think, but if you look at how he's scoring his points, so a couple chances created, which is nice, but it's a lot of defensive peripherals as well. So I don't know. And I think the way that it's set up, Croatia can play a little more defensively. They're on 4 points, right? So a draw is fine for them. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah, so that's basically what you're left with. One thing, I don't know if you noticed this, Pablo Sarabia is priced at 4,800. He hasn't been starting. We thought he might start earlier, in the first matches. But if there's any rotation, then I have to think you just have to find a way to fit Sarabia in, given the matchup and just complete lack of other options.
Yeah, 4,800. I didn't see that.
I was shocked. I mean,
yeah, he'd be unlikely to play more than 60 or so minutes, but that's fine for 4,800. Yeah, I think you'd have to play him. I guess you never know. He could play longer than that, but I think you'd still just have to play him.
Yeah, I agree. There's just no one else. I'd rather play him than Thorgan Hazard in that situation.
Oh,
Per
somebody mentioned Buchanan in the chat, I see.
Buchanan.
He,
All right, all right. So
he's been crushing, actually. That's not a bad call,
let's
like,
pull him up.
for 5K. I know he got an assist last time, but he also had a yellow card. He's just been doing a lot, and he's looked good. I don't think I wouldn't play him over Thorgan in cash games, but
I mean, that's
I
certainly
get
a good
it on
tournament
this slate.
option. Yeah. Let's see, 2.6 crosses per game. I guess, I mean, there's been 2 games, so it's not going to
A
be too
couple
many.
shots assisted, 4 shots, some fouls drawn, some crosses. I mean, he sort of does it all. I mean, that's just what he does. He does the same stuff for Bruges. Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Shout out Chris for giving us Tajon Buchanan there. Yeah, that would have to be an option. I mean, if you just go a little bit up, I mean, Yuri Tillemans 5,200, maybe that's a tournament play. Kyle Larin, maybe that's a tournament option. But overall, it's a pretty uninspiring. So are you going to use one of those, 40? So are you going to use like Thorgan Hazard as a sort of utility play? Are you going to look to play another German midfielder if you're thinking towards cash games? Because I'm looking through these prices and I see some favorably priced guys in a spot where Germany are going to have to press. So Ilkay Gundogan takes penalties for 6,800. I wouldn't blame people for going there. Jamal Musiala is 7,300. Maybe I'm missing someone else. You could play a forward eligible German player there as well, but salary might get a little tight. What else are you
No,
thinking in
yeah,
the midfield? Are you thinking? I mean, right now I have Gundogan plugged into my dummy cash lineup, and I don't think that's a bad idea as it stands.
yeah. That's what I was thinking. I think I like Musiala better, but I get it with Gundogan taking pens. It makes sense. Are those guys like? I think it's a legitimate question. Are those guys better than Ziyech? Just because they're pretty close in price. Um,
They are pretty close, but like right now, if I play Olmo or Gnabry and then Sane, Kimmich, all these guys that we say are locks.
hmm
We haven't talked about
hmm
defender yet, but David Raum is probably going to be a first
Yeah,
defender.
he's a lock, so
He's
put
a
him
lock
in
as
there.
well. So you put him in there. And then if I spend all the way up at Ziyech, so I'm just clicking through this right now, so pardon me while I do that. All right, then I have to punt at defender, which is fine because you have Sula at 3,200. And you just keep on getting funneled into German guys as you just lock in all of the best plays. Then you're
Yep.
left at a complete punt at goalkeeper, and you cannot afford Thorgan Hazard. You'd be looking at someone like Busquets.
Yeah, you could only do it if you played Navas and Watson from
yeah.
both from Costa Rica. Then it actually fits perfectly.
So you played Navas in there at goalkeeper, and then who is
I mean,
this?
I'm just, and then you play 2,600 Watson, and the lineup fits perfectly.
Oh,
But
jeez.
that doesn't seem like the move, really. But it doesn't seem like the worst. Let's see if you play a Germany guy though, that might be better. You can switch that. I don't know if you want to play Navas though.
I mean, do you want to play 5 or 6 German guys, just laying siege on Navas? I mean,
No, I don't. So then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can't play another German. Oh, you can play Gundogan, I guess. Yeah, and then what are you going to play, the Japan keeper?
yeah, I don't want to play the Japan keeper. I usually try not to have goalkeeper opinions, but I mean, Spain are sort of like Manchester City when they have a shot on goal. They've picked it out very nicely, and so I feel like that just kind
I
of lowers a
agree.
bit of the upside for potential saves. I've long stopped playing the opposing goalkeeper on Manchester City showdown slates for this reason. So they're just too clinical. Um,
hmm
I don't know, maybe that's recency bias, but it's just not a route I want to go to. So the cheapest goalkeeper that I would want to play is Borjan. Maybe we can get to goalkeeper a little bit later, though. That we're just
Yeah,
talking about this because if you want to play Ziyech, if you want to play any non-German piece, Ziyech over Musiala or Gundogan, these are the types of things that you're going to have to be facing right here. So Ryan, Chris is
yeah.
asking, you think Germany will play Musiala on the wing again? Let's see what we have queued up right here.
Um, yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. That lineup we have, I don't really think they're gonna start Fulkrug. I mean, I guess they could just because he came on and scored against Spain, but I don't think he's in their best lineup. I think they would start maybe Gnabry and Sane on each side, and maybe Musiala and Muller through the middle, or they should bring in Kai Havertz, and he should play in like the number 9 role, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
Is Kai
Um,
Havertz favorably priced on this spot? 7,000. I mean, that's, I guess you can play him.
what is Kai? Oh,
7,000 midfield
7K.
only. Yeah.
Oh man, if he starts, just load him up in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the obvious pivot right there. I mean, what about cash? Would you play Musiala at 7,300, or would you play Kai in that situation?
Oh, I'd play Kai in cash for sure at 7K. Just on
Yeah.
this slate, just because
Oh,
what
minus
are the goal
120. Yeah,
odds? Yeah, he's
Kai's a
minus
lock. Yeah,
120.
Kai's a lock if he
Highest on the
starts. Yeah.
slate, you know?
Yeah.
He'd be the lock.
Yeah. Along with every other German player. I mean, I don't know about you, Ryan. Are we missing anyone in midfield? I mean, you absolutely cannot play De Bruyne at 8,800. I hope other people somehow go there. He was like 67% in tournaments, but I don't really
I
expect
mean,
that to happen.
no, all these options are just too good. So if you play another midfielder, you're going to need him to score a goal.
Yeah, the opportunity cost. Um, Chan is in the chat. He says Perisic Sizin. I mean, can you play these Croatia guys? You could maybe pair. It would be very contrarian, right? You could do Luka Modric and then combine him with Ivan Perisic. It just,
Perisic 7,100. That's not the worst call. Uh, Especially for tournaments, those guys are going to be so low owned.
yeah, I mean, you're going to have to be brave enough to make some pivots, I think, because I mean, I bet tournament lineups are going to be duplicated in this, just the way that the pricing has been set up. So
They're going to be
I,
similar.
yeah, very similar.
I mean, it's nice at least that Germany's in the second wave of games. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, we don't get like a leaked German lineup.
Hopefully, yeah, that would ruin all our fun, basically.
Well, I just mean I wouldn't. I guess I wouldn't mind if we do, but if we do, when that happens, it adds some percentage points onto the ownership.
Yeah,
People in the people across all the sites and discords and the people in the lobby, they all know that. They all see the leaked lineups.
yeah, that stuff gets pretty spread out. I mean, I think the only other name we haven't mentioned is like someone like Asensio. If he starts, he's 6,600. Maybe that makes sense as another possible tournament pivot because you're going to have to be a little bit different than these German onslaughts. I think you're just going to have to find a way to
Yeah,
outscore
you
them.
don't. Do you think people will play Spain in tournaments?
They're the second biggest favorites, and they are direct pivots off of the German pieces, right? We have Olmo within 100 of Gnabry. If Asensio starts, he's very closely priced to Gundogan and Kimmich. So I think it just makes a lot of sense to pivot to the Spain guys. So I think they'll
Yeah, I
also
mean,
be
yeah,
reasonably
I
popular.
I think they'll be pretty popular. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can talk more tournament strategy going forward. So let's move to defender. So you go to defender and you see David Raum, 5,800 lock, right?
Yep. Yep. Um, I see. We have Germany in a different formation, I guess, without Sule in just four at the back, but I don't think that matters. Rahm's a lock no matter what in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, even if they are in a back four when they don't have when they have the ball, Raum's gonna be
Exactly. Right.
playing like a
Exactly.
winger, and then I think
Yeah.
people will cut inside. I think that's how they have been playing. He's been making a ton of overlapping runs.
Yep.
Um, and you're not going to be able to afford to spend up twice at defender, I think. Let me pull up the defender list right here. Yeah, I mean, Hakimi is 6,800. I don't know how DraftKings got him to that price, but you can't play him there. I mean, would you consider playing Alphonso Davies or Jordi Alba in tournaments? Those are kind of the two pivots off of Raum.
Um, yeah. Yeah. I think you could play any of those guys in tournaments. That's just because they're going to be so much less popular. Even Hakimi. If I knew Hakimi was healthy, I mean, it's too bad he came off last game. I played him last week too. People didn't play him at Belgium. I mean, look at the floor Hakimi would have put up. Look what he did in the first game. I mean, he just crushes in that role for Morocco. But I don't know. I know he's not quite healthy. Yeah, I think Ram will be very popular. So any of those other guys are fine for tournaments.
Yeah, you can definitely spend a little bit up there. Again, just these little ways to be different are going to be really important, I think. But you will not be spending up twice at defender, I'm assuming, on this slate, at least in cash games.
No, I don't think you can. There's no value. You got to punt somewhere,
Yeah, and so if we flip the salary right here, who do you like as a punt at defender as it stands?
I mean, no one really. What are we considering a punt? You said if Sule starts, that's fine.
Yeah, 3,200
3,200.
Sule. That's who I
Yeah,
have
I'll
in.
take that.
Why not go
I'll
back to
take
the
that.
well, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then,
I don't really see anyone else though. Don't want to play any Japan guys. No Canada punts. I think people would maybe look at Mounier for 3,800. 3,800. Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily a punt, but that's just a little bit cheap for him. He doesn't have the greatest floor though, and that's not a great matchup. I wouldn't do that. I don't know. Do you have anybody?
I would have suggested Mounier if that would be the highest I would spend at second
Yeah,
defender.
doesn't
If I
seem
could
like
make
the
it
worst
fit.
thing if somehow you have that amount of money.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, if I was 100 short, I would be fine playing Antonio Rudiger in this spot because he'll be getting forward on the set pieces. I think that's
Oh,
fine.
I'd definitely play Rudiger, yeah,
Yeah,
if I could get there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, would you rather play Rudiger or Mounier in cash games?
Man, honestly, probably Rudiger.
I
Seriously, like they're going to keep a clean sheet, and he gets so many shots.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, Mounier is not a lock for 90 minutes. I mean,
No,
he's been
no, and
subbed
it's not
twice
a
at the
good
60-minute
matchup.
mark.
Yeah,
So,
he's just not a good cash play in general, but it's just the price thing with him. Yeah, I like Rudiger. If I could get there, that'd be nice. But
yeah, but if not, I
I
mean, Sule, sorry, what were you saying?
no, yeah, Sule for sure. But then like you might as well like if you need it, just play a $2,500 Costa Rican player. I
Or
don't think it's the
2,600,
worst.
I guess. Yeah.
2,600. I don't think it's the worst thing. If the rest of your lineup's perfect, you've got to decide on that. Like sometimes the rest of your lineup can be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, the floor is not going to be the floor between Watson and I mean, Rudiger definitely has more upside, but if you need that
Like
$900, I mean,
right.
you probably just can't
But
get there.
imagine playing a Mounier in like a worse lineup, but you could get like 1,100 by playing Costa Rican center back, and the amount of times where Mounier is just going to go out and score you 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I think you'll need that $1,100 just
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm saying.
sew
Yeah.
everything together. Yeah. Oh, anyone else to really consider here? I mean, Gvardiol is very talented, but I mean, Croatia aren't a big enough favorite to consider that. Maybe if you decide to play Luka Modric. I mean, these are probably the tournament options that we're considering. If you will play a slightly different set piece or play one of their center backs. So I guess Gvardiol makes
Yeah,
sense
I
if you want
mean,
to.
there's just not a lot to talk about outside of Germany and Spain, and I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think so too. How about we how about we just move on to goalkeeper then and start thinking about that? So at goalkeeper you have Manuel Neuer at 5,900. You could play Unai Simon at 5,700. Do you think you'll have the salary to spend up at goalkeeper, or are you going to have to pick one of these cheaper guys?
um, yeah, it's going to be hard to have the salary, right? Um,
So
I
let's
see
go back
myself.
to our. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I see. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to have the salary. Just initial look, because there's not a lot. There's not a lot of value, right? So how are you going to do it? You're going to have like you're going to have to not have, or you're going to have to get rid of one of your Germany pieces. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to plug in all of the guys we talked about in midfield and forward, put in Watson at the second defender, at Waston as the punt, right? Waston, not
Right.
Watson. And then put in Neuer, and I'm left with 3,500. So, I mean, who do I play at 3,500 then? I can't even play Busquets. My
You have to
goodness.
play like, oh, is it at defender
Ugh,
or
yeah,
or util?
utility.
Yeah, so you'd have to play like a Brozovic.
Oh, jeez. Pau Torres, maybe, if he started. That's not good. I mean, I actually
No.
don't know. That might be okay. It might be completely okay to play Brozovic if you can fit everyone
Oh, I
else in
found
there.
I found a lineup for you. You might like it actually. You
Oh boy.
can't play the German piece in util though, so you can't play Musiala or Gundogan.
Hmm.
You ready? It's Sane, Gnabry, Hazard, Kimmich, Ram, Rudiger, Neuer, and then what does it leave you?
Well, you tell me. That went too fast for my. I'm a
Sorry, I mean
mathematician, not a
all the
calculator.
guys we want to play. So the five locks, Sane with Almo or Gnabry,
Hmm.
Thorgan
Kimmich,
and Kimmich and Ram,
Thorgan, Rudiger.
and then Rudiger and Neuer.
We're left with
Your guy,
4,600.
your guy. You just
Oh
play
my
the
goodness.
brothers.
Play the brothers Hazard. Oh my
You just play the
goodness.
brothers. Look at that lineup,
Oh my. That's genius.
right?
You get the sibling correlation there, right?
Yeah, and look at that. You get like a guaranteed clean sheet. You sweep the clean sheet at goalkeeper, defender. You get 16 points right there.
You're actually not allowed to play that lineup, Brian, because it doesn't have the 3-team minimum.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're right. Raining on my parade.
That stinks.
That's too bad. It looked too good, I knew it looked too good.
Yeah, that was too good to be true right there. They won't let you get away with the sibling correlation that easy.
So then
Draft.
instead, yeah, you could play like a Simone and
Yeah, you have
I
to
guess
play Simone in that situation then, absolutely.
right, or you could switch Rudiger. But
Uh,
I don't know
no.
who you'd switch to. You just play Simone, right?
Yeah, you play
Yeah.
Simone, you leave the 300 on the table, you say, I know better, and then you play Eden Hazard in your utility.
What could you get up to though with that 300? Probably not much, right?
Probably not much to write home. Actually, Sarabia, if he started, you would be able to get up.
Sarabia, if he started, what a lineup that would be. That'd be perfect.
That's actually like a pretty good. If Sarabia starts, we might have given away like a 30-person train in cash games
I'd enter that lineup for
if you want
sure.
to go there. I wouldn't blame anyone. I mean, you could play Gundogan and then punt at utility, and I would understand that as well. I mean, these are going to be the decisions that decide cash games.
Yep.
They're very small.
I mean, honestly, what might decide cash games too is like a Almo or Gnabry, or Almo or Gnabry. I mean, people aren't going to play them together, I don't think, and they're at that price point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, do you play Olmo or Gnabry? Do you find a way to spend up, or do you play a better German midfielder? Man, it's going to be fun to sweat that one out. Maybe I'll play more head-to-heads or something like this. I
Maybe
mean,
people won't, maybe people just aren't that sharp and aren't going to have the same construction, but I don't know,
maybe.
Modric is floating out there, KDB. Are people really going to play Thorgan? I mean, they should, but you never know, right?
Yeah. I mean, do you expect the set piece situation to be chaotic, or do you think that's going to be indicative of what happens in the future? We have
I
a
think
sample size
Thorgan
of
would
one.
take, I think he would take all of those left-sided sets or left-sided corners. Yeah, I think he would take all of them. And KDB might take all of the other half. Like, I think it would be a split. At worst for Thorgan, a split.
I mean, it's just I just don't know how you could be Roberto Martinez and not have Kevin De Bruyne take every set piece. I feel like he's had to run into
It's
some
weird,
criticism for
right?
that.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of weird.
at worst, a split, man.
But I mean, you see that even happen for City sometimes. Could even be like KDB just telling the other guy to take it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, well, based on the media interviews, KDB is certainly over this whole playing for Belgium thing. Have you seen these comments? We're too old.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
KDB,
disaster.
man, I'm a big KDB fan. I like
What
his
a
personality too. I like him in interviews.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't know
yeah,
if
I
he was
mean,
joking or not. Oh my goodness.
Pedri instead of Hazard. This guy says, I don't
Oh,
think for cash, man.
well, which Hazard? I mean, that's the real question. But I would play both of the Hazards ahead of Pedri. I mean, one draws a lot of fouls, and the other we expect to have corner kicks. So sure, yeah, I don't think you can go
Probably.
Pedri there either. All right, I mean, we basically gave you the keys to cash games. So Ryan, I don't know how many lineups are you going to be entering into this 555. I guess what you will expect
Man,
is that
I'm disappointed in myself for not getting some tickets to this because I mean, 555 is a big price tag, you know. I'm gonna play two for sure. I'm gonna play two for sure.
two for sure. All right,
Yeah.
and so let's say that the field let's say that they play the chalk. They often do, right? So you're going to see a lot of players, maybe especially a lot of people who got tickets in NFL. They don't play soccer too much. So, like, maybe Mocklevin or
Hmm.
someone has a lot of tickets. You're going to expect a lot of Germany utilization in that. What's going to be your strategy if you put 2 to 4 lineups in?
um.
You don't have to give everything away. What's maybe like one route that you could
Yeah.
take?
I'm just. So these spots where it's like a really nice spot for Germany, and they have a high implied total. I mean, I'm usually not one to fade these spots. You know, I've done pretty well just picking out the best plays. And in these high stakes, smaller field tournaments, that seems to be enough a lot of the time. Um, Now, for this slate, like, and just in general, like, I guess if you're going to fade the chalk, or if I'm going to fade the chalk, because I have been fading chalk a lot more, and I think I do more so than a lot of the other high stakes players. Who you're fading it for, there has to be like a reasonable chance that they can put up ceiling games too. You know, you can't force it when you have such a good spot like Germany, at least for me. Like, you know, you can compare it to City and Liverpool spots. There's times to fade and there's times to just pick the players who are going to score you hat tricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, this feels like it feels like a 3 game Manchester City slate when there's just two bad games. Well, we
right.
don't have
So,
Burnley anymore, but
you
like
know,
Burnley, yeah. Go ahead.
you can kind of, no, but you can kind of say the same thing. Like, there's no right answer. Like, is this the time when they're going to score five or six? But you can always argue that you use game theory in these spots when a team's going to be so chalky. You know, there's three other games to pick from. Um, I have a tough time fading Germany, though. You know, if you're just asking me what I'm going to do, there's a lot of Germany options. I feel like I can pick the best ones.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Like, okay, so just to continue with what I was saying before, like I don't really like this Belgium Croatia spot. Um, Belgium have been like really disappointing, especially for floor points outside of Hazard for the most part. Croatia, yeah, I just can't do that. Same thing. Um, I do think Morocco is interesting. In my, I do have two builds, so I'm going to do something different in the other one. We just
Hmm.
saw Canada give up a bunch of goals to Croatia and a bunch of good chances. I think it's a pretty good spot for Morocco. Like, might be a good spot for Ziyech. He's going to be pretty low owned just because of all the midfielders and just the better spots.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Um,
for tournaments, just to keep on going with that thought about Morocco, we haven't said it, but Buffal is sitting right there at 6,800. Gonna go. We
right,
talked about game theory. He's gonna go completely overlooked. What are his goal odds?
right.
Plus 280. I mean, I don't know.
So that's a great shout. That's something I will do in the main GPP. It's not really something that I would do with just one or two entries in the 555. Although, um, shout out to Pew Pew Pew. He played Buffal in that Belgium matchup on the last slate, and I think Pew 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 won the tourney, and even though Buffal only scored 5, but I just saw he was like 3% or something. Just like he had the gamble to just do it. So yeah, I like that move
For the
for the
lotto.
big $20
Well, not a lotto, I
GPP.
guess, but
The
yeah.
lotto, yeah. I mean, in a way, yeah. But for that tournament, yeah, I'm looking for like a 5% owned guy like that to score 20 points. Um, when I'm playing like the tournament, like the 555, I just gotta play most of the best plays, who I think are the best plays, and then get different in like one or two spots.
Yeah, I certainly understand both routes. I mean, if you're someone like Jordan and you have 13 tickets into this thing, he can play a mixture of, dare the field to play the best plays, prove that they can play the right German pieces and figure that out. And then you can play little bit of game theory. You can just make a couple pivots to Spain. You can make some pivots to Morocco there. I really do agree that like when I play in tournament, I do not like this Croatia Belgium spot at all. I mean, Belgium have been a turgid, so that's a shout out Bear in the Discord right there. That's just not going to be a fruitful game in my opinion, and Croatia don't really have incentive to push too much based on everything. So I definitely wouldn't want to go there either.
Yeah,
So
there were. Sorry, I just wanted to say I've used different strategies at different points, and like a lot of times when I was first playing, and I think this is a good strategy too, when I didn't necessarily have as much, sometimes when you don't have a bankroll, you can't play a certain way. You need to play safer. I'm sure that's for most people, especially in
mhm.
these GPPs, and that's not always the case. But I mean, for a while, like let's say I had 10 lineups, I might just make like 10 Germany stacks, and sprinkle a little Spain in, and just try to make like the 10 best. If I think a spot's that good, sometimes I will do that. Um, Now, I might now I would look for some more contrarian stuff and some more high risk stuff. But back in the day, I didn't really used to do that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a tournament option would be instead of playing 6 Germany players, you play 4 and just try to find a brace
Right? Yeah,
and
you don't need
goal
to
in
have
some other
right.
spot.
You definitely don't need to have 6. I mean,
Yeah.
right? You don't. You definitely don't. Four is fine. I mean, I still consider that a stack. Like you can get different with keeper and defenders and
Yeah. So who do we like in Germany in tournaments? So I guess we really haven't talked too much about any of their other options, but full Krug at 8,900. You have Thomas Mueller down at 8,000. Any of those you think intrigue you? Any fragility maybe in
um.
either of these players that are going to be popular in tournaments?
Okay, yeah. Well, the reason to play Mueller is because no one really plays him. Now, he'll get ownership because he's a German player, but he's usually the least popular German player. So there's the reason for Mueller.
Yeah, plus
I like
125.
yeah, I like Musiala. Um, if I just had to pick one out, I just think he's really good price. Probably scores a goal in this matchup, so he'd be my pick. And then, I mean, always love Nabri and Sane. Just take your pick.
Full Krug? Are you maybe that's the
Man, I
spot
mean,
to
I don't
fade?
want to. That's fine. No, he's fine. I mean, he's fine. It's just not the type of guy that I normally play. He's like your Giroux. He'd be like the Giroux type of this slate. So
Yeah.
he's fine. I mean, he could score a brace in the first 20 minutes. I mean, it's a perfectly fine option.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some other rotation into the German side. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. Yeah, Kai Havertz, the lock button play right there in the midfield spot. Maybe that
Yeah,
changes
yeah.
a little bit. If you can only play like if there's just a lot of German midfield eligible only players, maybe that somehow filters
Oh,
out utilization a little bit.
sorry, I see this guy in the chat. He's smarter than us. He's smarter than us. He said Pedri over Eden because we needed the third team requirement.
Oh, yeah, we could go there. I don't know, but I
Sharp. Yep. I get it now. Okay.
sharp. I mean, I don't know. I still want that brother correlation. I think that's going to be
No, I
the key
know,
to.
I know. I like that too. I like that too. That just has the good like karma associated with it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when Thorgan hits a corner that he stole from Kevin De Bruyne, and Eden Hazard gets his head on it, even though he's less than like 5'8", it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel good, and you're gonna win in all of your double ups.
Right.
I mean, this slate kind of. I mean, I'll say it. It kind of stinks. It's kind of disappointing that this is the slate for that's going to be where all the big tournaments are at. But I mean, has there been anything that we missed really?
No, not I wouldn't say missed, but um like another strategy is like a German stack with Kramaric one off, or German stack with Jonathan David one off,
Yeah.
or these like 5% guys that we didn't really talk about, where you just need it to happen one time. I mean, just like one spot to get you different. You know, any of these forwards can score goals, but yeah. Other than that, I think we hit everything.
Yeah. So I guess before we go, one thing I wanted to ask you about. This happened a couple days later. So I was talking about we talked about this beforehand, but talked about Bruno Fernandez, who sort of had like a he was kind of a contentious point in cash games a couple days ago, and I think we're going to face a
Yeah.
similar question tomorrow. I wondered what you were thinking about his role. You have a better eye for me than these things. In the first game, he was kind of poor and things weren't going through him, but
Oh,
I think things started funneling a bit more through him in the second half, at least. It still kind of felt like he sucked out a little bit, getting 2 assists, and
yeah.
he really let me have it in the most recent slate. I
Yeah,
preferred Vinny
man.
to him.
He he let me have it too because I swapped off him as I mentioned before, but I did have him at the start. Yeah, it was contentious, sort of the Bruno decision. Yeah, you said it. He was sort of lucky to get there, or fortunate to get there in the first match, but on this last match against Ukraine, I think it was
Uruguay.
pretty clear that or sorry, against Uruguay. I think it was pretty clear that he should have been a lock. You know, I myself overrated Uruguay a bit again, and also just didn't factor in that Bruno is in a different role than we've seen for him in previous tournaments for Portugal, and just that everything goes through him the way they're playing. He's always got the ball. He's always taking shots. He's always assisting shots. He's taking most of the set pieces. I mean, and especially on that slate, like I don't really know who else you're going to play over him. He just clearly has the highest floor on the slate, and I don't think you're being like results oriented by saying that just from looking at that one game. I think that was going to happen quite a bit. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, watching the game, I agree with you. I would not have prioritized Vinny over Bruno. Just
Right.
I
That was
thought,
the thing. It was Vinny, right? Yeah, it was Vinny or Bruno.
I mean, for a couple reasons. So I played Vinny, and I had the same construction as you, but a 2v2. So you had Bruno and Guerrero, and then I had Vinny and Cancelo. And it was stupid to play Cancelo. I mean, nothing really went through him, so it was kind of annoying. Maybe he does better, more often, but
No, yeah,
it,
I think you're spot on. Like spending money for Cancelo and then not playing Bruno makes no sense the way they play. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I think if you're not like I don't know changing the way you think about that, then yeah, no, I don't think that's right. Like we watch you watch the Brazil game. Like most people watch the Brazil game. Most people watch the Portugal game.
Mhm.
Like just think to yourself, like, would you rather play Vinny or Bruno? Like, how these games are sort of going to go, right? It seems pretty obvious now.
Yeah, I mean, in some sense, Vinny, I'll push back a little bit. He got a goal ruled offside and he scored 12 floor points. So I don't think like the thesis on Vinny having a good floor was wrong.
No,
Bruno had a better floor and I was
yeah,
wrong to play Vinny
right. I
and then play Cancelo with him. That I
Yeah,
think
no,
that's him.
I think you're spot on. Vinny was
Yeah.
a good price and is a fine play, but that's like a really good spot for Bruno where he should be one of the cornerstones or priorities.
Yeah. And it's always difficult. I mean, do you overreact in these international tournaments or underreact? I mean, I always felt like, okay, I didn't like Bruno's role in the first half, so I am not going to be afraid to take a stand that it won't continue. I got it wrong, but it's
Me
always
too.
difficult, right? You don't have a sample at all, and the odds aren't going to be as sharp as they
Well,
usually are.
yeah, see, part of it for me was in the Euros, which is less than 2 years ago now, right? Or 2 years ago. I don't know. In the
Yeah.
Euros, Bruno wasn't great and he was getting subbed early. And I had that stuck in my head, but that was a mistake. It's different now. And it's another point. It's another, example of you got to be able to react to things and change fast. I mean, yeah, especially for DraftKings, this World Cup it's going to be over soon and it's going to pass by if you don't adapt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Just make sure when you adapt correctly, of course.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Soccer in general for DFS and especially the World Cup, it's you can gain a lot from watching the games. It's one of those people DFS people sometimes make fun of, watch the games crew, but in soccer it really is like that. In NFL, baseball, basketball, you can use projections and numbers and computers a lot more than you can. And it's what I think, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the context is going to be super important always. I
Projections are
agree.
just really hard for soccer. Projections are really hard for a sport like soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that there are some free ones available. Maybe not free, but there's some ones that have been made available, and I look at them and I click optimize and I look at the lineups they spit out. I'm just curious, right? I want to see
Yeah,
how good they are
yeah,
doing at these projections, and I just chuckle. I mean, I think Jordan makes this lesson all the time. You just really have to understand the roles and the ranges of outcomes
yeah.
in these
It's
things and
got
have your boots in the ground.
absolutely.
So I don't know. Some nice life lessons from you, Ryan. Any other takeaways for this
No, I
slate?
think
Maybe we
I
can
think
call
that's
it.
it for now. I think that's it for now.
Sounds good. So I think these lineups, if they're not all already, we have some showdown to play. We have some late game to play. So good luck, everyone. Stack Germany, make a couple pivots, win all the money. We will see you tomorrow.
Yep. Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Jack.